I have told you, I will share a business process model and notation case study, which is on expense reimbursement process, and then we will prepare this expense reimbursement BPMN visual in Microsoft Visio. So you can see this case study. I believe everyone can see the screen now. There is an employee who makes an expense on behalf of the company and then sends the expense report to claim from the accounts department. First and foremost, the accounts department checks whether the expense account for this employee has been created. If it is not created, they create an expense account. Once the expense account has been created, there are certain rules which are to be followed. If amount is less than $200, it is automatically approved. If the amount is equal to or greater than $200, it is sent to approval supervisor. If the amount is approved, it goes to the employee's bank account. If it is rejected, the email is sent to the employee. If no action happens in 7 days, email is sent to the client that approval is in progress. If the reimbursement doesn't happen in 30 days, the process is cancelled and the employee has to apply again. So all of you have this process with you. I have given it to you, and now we will prepare the business process model for the same through Microsoft Visio. So I will start Microsoft Visio now. So here I write Visio. As I have both Visio 2013 and 2010 installed on my PC, I'll just click on 2013. Now this Visio 2013 has got a very good interface, which you can see. When you open Visio 2013, this screen will come up, and here you can see there are featured categories, so you can take up, if you want to open any of these things, then there is another area which is categories. If you click, then business, re-engineering, flowchart, general, all these things will come up here. And you can also search from here, the top icon. So I write BPMN in this and I do a search. And friends, you also have to remember my lecture of last week where I shared with you the BPMN elements and where I shared with you basics of the BPMN process. So now you see this template has opened up. BPMN diagram was not available in Visio 2010. So Visio 2013 has this update where you have all this, you have a BPMN template and all the BPMN elements are available here. So now let us start with this case. It is a simple case, but if you are able to prepare a case like this, you will be able to prepare many more cases, simple or complex, whenever you have to take that up. This week, I will share my experience with you. I was on a consulting assignment with a very large conglomerate in India. I was advising to them on a large rollout which involved training of something like 50,000 professionals over a period of next 3 months. So naturally, you need to have e-learnings out there, you need to have automated trainings out there, you need to design a plan. And of course, when there is a large scale rollout of this kind, you will also have to have prepare workflows. So they have also employed some other consultants, some of them from one of the largest business and IT consultancies in the world. I happened to see their workflows and I was so pleasantly surprised that friends, even people who have so much of consulting experience, who represent the best and the biggest consultancies in the world, even they are following old tools and old methods. So I'm so happy for my students like you that when you are trained in methods like BPMN and UML, and when you are trained in Visio, you have the latest tool set. So never discount your knowledge. What you learn here in this program is very valuable. It is valuable to you, and wherever you will go, you will get highest amount of respect as a business analyst, as a business consultant, and a business IT business architect for all these things. So this is the power on your side. Now let me start this case study. So I will start with the start event. We have remembered that every BPMN process starts with a start event. So what I have done from this BPMN template, I have done a drag and drop for this start event. And you remember, start event is a circle, and now I need to add other events. So just remember the process, that the process starts when the employee sends what you can say a notification to the department that he has made some expense and he wants to get the reimbursement of expense. Next thing which you will read here in the case study is that if the account is available, or if the expense account already exists, then the process will proceed, and if expense account is not there, so the expense account has to be created. So the next element what we will have here in the process will be the what we call as the gateway. What I do a drag and drop, and if you come here, so this is the gateway, and we remember that sequence flow connects activities, events, and gateways. So now we have the start event, a sequence flow connector, and a gateway. So this gateway has two things or two decisions to check whether the account exists or not. So this is one decision, and second decision is and friends, it is as simple as this, and you have already taken up the lecture on Visio. So now these are two activities which are tasks. So I write here if the account exists, yes, and just you can see I have magnified it, and no. If it is no, then we have to create expense account. And if it is yes, then we have to review it for pre-approval. And once the expense account is created, again the process goes for the review. What I need I need a sequence flow here, which is the master shape. You have already learned how to connect shapes in the earlier lecture. So this is how it happens. Now the review will happen. So during the review process, as is given in the case that if the amount is less than $200, auto expense or auto approval happens. So again, there will be a decision box or a gateway. Let us be consistent in our vocabulary. So in BPMN we call it as a gateway. If the amount is less than US dollar 200, then auto approval happens. So let this be a case of auto approval. And if the amount is greater than US dollar 200, then there will be approval review by the supervisor. So you see, this is how our diagram is coming up. I am selecting everything. We just compress it. So in case of auto approval, the money is transferred to the bank account, to the employee's bank. Let us and then for this flow, the process ends here. After the money is transferred. I will tell you a small method here to each of you. Once you have to prepare the diagram, you just prepare the default flow or easiest flow once. So you can see this one is the straight and the easiest flow. Account exists, yes. Review for pre-approval, yes. Pre-approved, yes. Amount less than $200, yes. Transfer to account in the process ends. And these are all the branches. Account does not exist, create the account. If it is not pre-approved, it will go for the approval review. And then after the review, there is yet another decision. That decision is the supervisor can either approve the claim or he can reject the claim. So let us put a decision box again or a gateway. You see, Visio is so simple and so easy. All what you need is some practice of 15-20 hours, not more than that. So if it is approved, then this is the case for approved. In case it is rejected, the notification is sent to the employee for rejection. So let this be case for the rejection. So I just connect it with another sequence flow, and just remember that sequence flow connects activities, events and gateways. And then again the process ends. This is how our BPMN model is coming up for this case. There is yet another detail provided in the case study, and that detail is about the fact that if the approval does not happen in 7 days, then an email is sent to the person who has submitted the expense. I will create that flow also, and there also it is written that if approval does not happen in full 30 days, then we need to send an email for cancellation of this application. So let us do these two things. So this is something like an intermediate event in the process. So I put an intermediate event here. I am nudging this shape by selecting it. another intermediate event. If the process does not complete in total 30 days, then the process is cancelled. Send cancellation email. So this is the entire BPMN, and you can see this looks a little professional compared to whatever diagram we would have prepared, and anyone who is going through this visual can easily understand the entire process. I believe everyone would have understood it, and if there are any questions, please let me know. I will address them here. So anyone who is having any questions, you can please write down your question and also raise your hand, and I will address to your question. So utilizing business process model is as easy as this.
Hello. So can you hear me? Can't hear anything.
Yeah, Vishal, you can speak now. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I was just asking if you could, just very briefly touch upon the other shapes also. I mean, in what context they come. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Anything else which you would like to ask?
Well, no, actually, Yeah, I mean the shapes that you so far have taken in are pretty clear.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering about the usage of the others.
yeah. You see, everything,
That's it.
everything is in conjunction or in addition to the last lecture which I have taken last week. So I will tell you.
Oh,
So far, this task is clear to you.
yes.
So there is a task, there is a looped task, and there is a sub process. So you see, this is the sub process. If you want to, let us say, prepare another BPMN for how an expense account is created, then what will happen? Instead of using the task notation here, we will use the collapsed sub process notation. So that will mean in this visual that we have yet another sub process on how the expense account will be created. This is good for you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is something like, let me just share with you use of text annotation. Let us say you want to add some detail over how to create an expense account, some additional detail. So what you will do, you will add a text annotation. Let us say you add it here, and then you will attach it here. Okay. And any text which you would write, let us say we write PAN number or passport number is required. So this is a additional information on this diagram through text annotation, that when you create an expense account, PAN number or passport number will be needed. And you connect these two elements through this element which is known as association. So association
Okay.
and text annotation is clear to you?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And also expanded sub-process is clear to you?
Yeah.
What will happen if there is a collapsed sub-process here? When we will click, double click here, the diagram will
And
take us
into
to the expanded sub-process.
expand. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Then I will show you the use of group. I have made a group here. This group, I can tell that this group is account creation and review for pre-approval. So I have grouped all these BPMN elements. So for given processes, you can group depending upon the stage. So this is the use of group. Now I take you to message flow and pool and lane. Normally what happens when there are very many participants in a process, we take help of pools and lanes. So lanes, in individual lanes, individual participants are shown, and the information exchange between the participants is done through message flow. So sequence flow cannot cross boundaries of a lane or a pool. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And if you remember the last lecture, I have in the patient and the hospital process where patient has to register, we have shown you the message flow between the patient pool and the doctor and the hospital pool lane.
Right. Fine. Okay.
So then there is data store and data object. Sometimes, as you are a computer programmer yourself and you will appreciate, during the flow of the process, some objects are created.
Hmm.
So if any data object is being created in the process, we use this data object. And data stores are utilized to store information. So even in this diagram, if we would like to say that all the detail of the applicant is to be stored, then we can utilize the data stored there.
Okay.
So this is about the basic shapes of BPMN, and this is how a BPMN diagram is prepared. My objective of this lecture is to show each of you how easy it is to prepare a BPMN model in Microsoft Visio if you are clear about the business process and if you are clear about BPMN elements and BPMN as a whole. So this is no rocket science. Once you have learned BPMN, it is very easy. So I will now go to other question from. So there is a question from Saji Vijayan. If the amount is more than $200, request needs to be sent to the supervisor. Do we need to use a swim lane here? So you have made a very good observation. As I have told you that swim lanes can be used to show various participants in a process or in a BPMN diagram. So there are various participants even in this diagram, that a supervisor is there, someone who is receiving your expense application, he is also there. But since it is a simple visual and with very simple steps, we have not created lanes here. But if there had been larger steps which we would like to clarify, then even we could have used a lane as well. Good observation. Yeah, Saji, if you have anything supplementary to ask, you can ask.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That clears everything.
Yeah, thank you. So I have one question from Dinu Jose. Is there a specific pattern to draw a BPMN diagram? So just refer to my video. Every BPMN diagram will have a start event, it will have an end event, it will have what we call as steps in the process. So we show it as either a task or a looped task or a collapsed sub-process. Then it will have decisions, that is the gateway. So, and activities, events and gateways are connected by sequence flow. If there are several participants, we can use lane. Between lanes, message flow will happen. So sequence flow cannot cross the boundaries of lane and pool. And then to show similar kind of activities or to club similar kind of activities, you can use a group. To expand your diagram with some clarification, you can use a text annotation. Yeah, Dino, now it is your time to speak.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sir, it is clear now. It's clear now. But well, what I wanted to ask you is, as you told, we should go through the yes process first. If the answer is yes, once a decision is made, if the answer is yes, you go up to the end part. Then you go to the no process. That is, if the decision is no. That's what I was asking.
Yeah, that is, you see, that is one way where you can make some sense when you, and this is only when you are starting to prepare these diagrams. Later on, all this thing will come intuitively to you.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay, sir. Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, I am hearing you. So now, as part of next exercise, what I will do,
Thank you, sir. It's clear for me now.
yeah, thank you. What I will do, I will share one BPMN visual with each of you, and as a reverse process, what you have to do, you have to write the process which happens which is happening in this BPMN visual in plain and simple English. So this is an exercise to read a BPMN visual. So I just share that with you and share the visual with you, and in the meanwhile there is a raised hand also. So I will. Yes, Saji, what you have asked me, please tell me.
Yeah, Vijay, two things, can you explain how to convert a one-dimensional diagram into a two-dimensional diagram? That is one thing. And second, how to get dynamic connections from MS Visio. We have static and dynamic connections. I think in the earlier diagram, you're using more of static connections. So can you explain how to get dynamic connections from MS Visio?
So what? Can you repeat first question? First
First question, can you just explain how to convert a one-dimensional diagram into a two-dimensional diagram?
You see,
I typed that. Yeah.
the diagram which you see is
Yeah.
is a typical, as it is something like a plain piece of paper. It is a two diagram in itself is two-dimensional. As what I have told you in my lecture in MS Visio, that there are various shapes. So there are one-dimensional shapes and then there are two-dimensional shapes. So to distinguish between one-dimensional and two-dimensional shapes, if you must remember that a two-dimensional shape has got at least eight connection points. So if you see here, this has got 8 connection points, so it is a two-dimensional shape. And
Correct.
this has got less than 8 connection points.
It is a one-dimensional.
It is a one-dimensional shape. So this is the first
Correct.
question. And for your second question, as I have told you, there are two kind of connections in Visio: static connections and dynamic connections. So this is one way how you connect.
Correct.
I just make the connection again. Glue to connection point, and if you see, if I move this shape now, this is glued to the connection point.
Correct.
So this is a static connection. Other method to connect it. So now it is glued to shape, not to the connection point. You can read on the screen. See here. So
Okay.
just so now you see. Now the entire shape is green and it is not glued to the connection point, it is glued to the shape. What I have done, I have dragged this connector right over to the shape. I have not stopped at the connection point.
Okay.
Just right now it is glued to the connection point. Let me just connect it to the shape. Now it is glued to the shape.
Okay.
What will happen now if I change this shape? is still glued to the connection point because it is
Static.
okay. Now I think I have to check this because the BPMN thing is new in this version.
Okay.
So I'll just check
Okay.
and let you know. Otherwise, in other
No problem.
areas, it is all what you need to do is basically, so these are two differences. I'll show you again. If I just take
Okay.
it up to the connection point, it says
Static
glued to the
inside.
connection point. And if I take it here,
Okay.
then it will say glued to shape.
Inside.
So these are two different connections,
Okay.
connectors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
So friends, now I will share a BPMN diagram with each of you, and then on that BPMN diagram or on that BPMN visual, you have to write the process. So it is a reverse exercise, and once you write, I give 5 to 7 minutes to you to write this process, and then we will discuss the process. I have one question from Rakesh, whether we use Visagi or MS Visio for BPMN diagram. You can use both of them. When it comes to BPMN, Visagi is a much advanced software compared to Visio. But Visio is easy to use and easy to master. But if you are something like an advanced user of BPMN, Visagi can do much more. So, friends, take your time, 5-minute break for me, but not for you. And you have to, I'll just share this process with you. You have to write in plain English of what is happening in the process in as much BPMN language as you can. I have one request from one of my friends. He wants me the link to for MS Visio trial or evaluation work. So here I will share one simple experience for all those who do not belong to IT industry. Those who work in IT industry, they know it well. Friends, let me tell you, when people are new in IT industry and when they do not have adequate exposure of things, they try to seek help from freely from the person who is sitting on the next desk or those who are in the group. To some extent, it is good to seek help, and it is also good to seek assistance because you cannot know all the things and why reinvent the wheel. But yet, while no one will tell you this thing, there are certain simpler processes or simpler activities or simpler things for which it is expected you do it yourself. Because in IT industry, every day there is a new day of discovery because you have to discover new technologies, you have to discover new things. So to seek help is okay, but as and when you join the companies, just don't tempt yourself to ask for anything and everything. Whenever you ask for help, try to do some homework before. So nothing to do with your request, my friend. It just came to my mind. So anyone, if someone has written in a quick manner about this process, he can share that to me over chat and I will read it out. He who will send me the first, I will. Yeah, please tell me, you have raised your hand.
Yeah, Vijay, this is a case where how the process of approvals and credit happens in an account department.
Yeah.
Right? And the whole process, the team assistant receives the invoice and assigns the concerned approving authority.
Yeah.
Once the invoice is approved by the approver, accountant does the bank transfer, further archive the invoice, and invoice is processed.
Yes.
This straight line, this is the one straight.
Yeah.
Second,
process,
the sub process which is there. Yeah, if approver doesn't approve, it will go to the team assistant for reviewing the invoice.
Yeah.
If review is successful, it will go to the approving authority.
Yeah.
Once approval is done, accountant transfers money, archives invoice, and invoice is processed.
Yeah.
And another sub process, in case team assistant does a review and it is not successful, invoice is not processed.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. So and here you can see there are 3 lanes, one for team assistant, another lane for approver, and another lane for accountant. And all in itself it is a pool which is the pool for invoice receipt process. So I appreciate your effort. You have made good effort and you have shared your understanding about this process with everyone. As you belong to insurance industry, please make certain BPMNs for underwriting claims, etc. and then share it with me. This is one thing. Second thing is that while you have shared it verbally, please also prepare a write-up on the same because written skills are very important. Yeah, thank you. So this was the last item on the agenda for this class today. We will have a 15 minutes break and then we will resume again on preparing some UML models through MS Visio. We will learn UML use case diagram quickly and then we will prepare a UML model. UML use case model. Yeah. So take a break for 15 minutes and then we will resume again.